continue and let's keep adding more stuff to this page. So far we have the hero image, we have the first section that we added called features, and then I just added this new section and added photos and some description to it. Okay, so if you notice here on this section called features, I have this gradient fill that's a linear. It goes from this blue and it kind of blends into the white. I want to do the same thing for the bottom. I want to see how it looks. So let's see. If I come up here, you have two options of doing this. You can click on fill and then come to linear. As you can see, I was already messing with it. But let's say that this color was, I don't know, a gray, and this wasn't here. Okay, normally this is how you would see it when you click on the linear fill. You can do this and manually try to find the color, or the shortcut or the short way of doing this would be to come up here to this section called features, come to the fill, right click, copy, then come to the second section which is called features 2, and then under fill, right click and paste. And there you go. You have the same setup that you have here down here with the colors. We just copying and pasting. Very nice. Now, this doesn't look bad, but the change between these two colors is too harsh. I want to kind of like soften that a little bit, soften it down, and make it blend. So in order to do that, we're going to select the section again, select the fill, and we're going to invert this by moving the dark blue to this side and then the white all the way to the other side. And there you go. And now you have that nice blending between this blue to the white and the white to the blue. Now there's still more room for improvement here. It's kind of not refined, so let's try to fix this a little bit. As you can see, the color stretches too much here, and it doesn't blend well with the way this looks up here. So a nice trick that you can do is to add another color right here in the middle, and then you gotta find that midpoint in between the white and the blue by just moving this around until you actually find something that you like. So I'll say something like that. There you go. It looks very nice. And now the other thing we gotta fix here is the text. The text is readable, but it's kind of hard to read. And remember, when you design, you want to make things easy to read and simple. There's beauty in simplicity, and that is my motto. That's how I go about designing things. I like to keep things very user-friendly, easy to read, and you want to keep the users engaged in your design. So let's change the color of the text. So for this part right here, we're going to select these two text, and we're going to make this a little bit darker. So let's go here and let's bring it down a little bit, and something like that works. And now let's select the bottom text and do the opposite, make it lighter. Let's bring it up, something like that works. And now these two settings up here, not the setting, these two texts here, that the header, I guess, for these sections, we're gonna change that to a lighter color, perhaps go all the way to white, and there you go. That looks much better, as you can see. And we can even bring this down a little bit just to make it contrast better, make it a little bit lighter, something like that. And now you have a nice contrast in between these two sections within the same section. Now again, guys, this is something I'm doing on the fly, and you can do whatever you want. Just make sure that you take your time. It is your design, and make sure that you do it the way you think that looks best, because nobody can design like you. All right, let's move on and let's add another section here. So remember, let's always keep things organized. I'm gonna select the main container and go insert, and we're gonna look for a section, and let's do something, let's see, something like this. Again, this is already pre-built into Framer, but you can build your own sections. If you don't know how this works, I suggest that you come here and insert and use the things that have already been pre-built for you. That way you can come here, let's say, for example, this new section right here, you can click on it and come to here to the side and see how it's set up, how everything is set up. So you have this main stack holding everything in called 2 columns text image. I'm gonna rename that. I'm gonna call this CTA, which means call to action. And then so this CTA stack contains another stack. So this stack here is holding the text. Let's see, let's open the other stack, and it's holding text here and then text down here. So if you click them individually, you can see how they are set up. And these two text are inside of another stack, okay, which is also inside of this stack, which is the white space you see here. And then also you have another stack down here that has the buttons inside of it. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and continue with this setup, and I want to add an image here. So I'm gonna click here, go to fill, and sometimes you will see this, meaning that it's missing a fill, and that is because the fill that was in there was probably let me go to the section, that image. Okay, but we don't have it. That's okay, we're gonna change that. So what you can do is come up here and exit out of that, eliminate that missing fill, click on the image. You can add your own image again if you have one. I'm gonna go ahead and go to plugins, go to Unsplash, and I want something like a street. So let's see, I think this one looks really cool. Let's add this one. Yeah, that works well. All right, perfect. As you can see, now we have this is a section that we can tell the user a story. That's why I called it CTA, or call to action. This is where I show an image, and then I have a nice title with a little bit of a story here, asking the user to take some kind of action with these buttons down here. So I'm gonna go ahead and, I don't know, rename this to let's see, adventures are waiting for you. There you go. And I misspelled this. There you go. Adventures are waiting for you. There you go. And then we can put a little bit of a story here. Now, here's another cool thing that I want to show you guys. First, let me go ahead and show you how it looks. All right. So that's how the page looks so far. It has a nice blending of the colors. And then I have the image here. If you notice, we have this image and this other frame right here with the text, and they are evenly distributed because they are inside of another stack. If you, let's say you wanted to make this image a little bit wider than the white space, there's a really cool way of doing that, and that is selecting the actual image and coming up here and see the way that it's set up. It says 1 FR on the width, which is a fill. We have it set up as fill. So for instance, let me show you what that looks like. If I were to have this a little bit smaller, a smaller screen, even smaller screen, you see how it adjusts the image? And if I bring it all the way up, it's gonna adjust. So everything is adjusting evenly to the screen. Now, if you wanna make this side bigger, let's just change with the same setup as fill. Instead of 1 FR, you can do 1.5 FR, for example. But you can bring that to 2 or 3 or whatever you want. So let's hit enter, and there you go. Now if I go and test this, and let's scroll down, you can see the image looks bigger now, or wider than previously. All right, I like the way it looks, so we're gonna leave that like that. And let's try some, let's experiment. You can see that we have this nice blending of the blue and the white, and then between these two sections. But since we have this part right here of this section that is white, maybe the white will blend well with these colors. And the only way to find out is to test this. So let's come here, select CTA, and move this up by using the keys on your keyboard. And this went up and it went down. Why didn't it go in the middle? That's because it is not inside of the main container. So always keep things inside of the main container. That way you can organize things. So let's click and drag this inside the main container, and voila. Now if you push up, it's gonna move up within the main container. And yeah, what do you know? The blending looks really cool. So let's go ahead and let's bring this back down to Actually, let's leave it like that. Now, one thing to notice is that that particular section, which is called CTA, is going to adjust to the size of the screen completely. However, the other sections did not. This one stayed the same, and this one stayed the same. They stayed in the middle. So if you want to limit the size of each one of those sections, you can do so by setting a max width. So let's select the call to action section and then come up here to the size. It says width, height, and then down here it says minimum or max. Click here and let's add a max width. We're gonna set it to, instead of relative, to fixed, and select 1000. I believe that's the same size of the other sections. And there it is. It's 1000. This one's 1000 as well. Let's test it out. And let's scroll down. There you go. And you have it the same size. Now there's a couple things here to fix or refine, and that is these square corners. They look good. However, we started with these round corners for everything that we did on the page. So let's keep the same design language. And also there's no space here, so we're gonna make some space here. We might also want to add a border here, see how it looks. So let's go ahead and do that. And I believe this is 20. Yes, it's a radius of 20. And now we can select this image, scroll down, go to radius, type 20, and there you go. Now we're gonna select the call to action container, which is this section, and you see this pink line appeared. If you click on it, you see it's gonna tell you, it's gonna take you to the gap here. It has a gap of 10. We can increase that to perhaps, actually, I'm sorry, let me double click back here, and it has a gap of 0. Let's add a gap of 50. Let's see how it looks. Okay, it kind of pushed it far away, and then the text got cut off a little bit. So let's reduce that to perhaps 25. There you go. Now the text is still being cut off. That's because of the setup of the actual stack here. This is fixed, and because it's fixed, it's been pushed outside because it's not adjusting. In that case, what we can do is push this to the middle. In other words, select this stack, and then let's see. This is to the center, and okay, right here. Let's select the text and push it to the center, and then this text right here, we're gonna go ahead and this stack, the stack that's housing the text, we're gonna set that to fill, and there you go. Now the text is adjusting to the stack. Now these things are gonna happen all the time when you design. Do not worry about it. Okay, now let's select this text and bring it back to line left the way it was, and now it looks way better. Now as you can see, there's a little bit of a gap here, and it looks good. Now the other thing we were going to do is add a border around this text and see how it looks. The only way to find out if things look good, guys, is to experiment. Now it looks really good like that. Actually, it doesn't need anything. The simpler you design, the better it will be. But hey, you never know if you don't experiment. So let's click here and let's add a border. So let's click here, and as you can see, there's a border here. Now same thing, let's add a radius of 20, and let's see how it looks. Now there you go, that's the border. It doesn't look bad. However, we need some space here. So what we need to do is select the stack that's housing all of these text and the buttons, and we're gonna add some padding to it. So come here to padding. The top and the bottom are okay, we don't need padding there, but on the right and the left we do. So let's add something like 20 perhaps, and then 20 on the left, and there you go. Now it looks much better. Now this border is too pronounced. In other words, it's too out there. We want to make this more appealing, more in the background, because what we want the user to notice is the buttons more than anything, the text and the buttons. So we're gonna select that stack, and then on the border select the color, and select this color right here again, and we're going to bring down the opacity to, let's say, 25%. And now if we click outside, as you can see, it looks more appealing. That way the border is there, but the attention is gonna go to the darker colors in this white background. All right, so that looks really good. Let's see how it looks when we test it. Let's scroll down, and there you go. Now the decision is up to you. You can put the border or not, but the point here is that you must experiment. That is the only way you will find out if things look good or not. And remember to always do it your way. All right, so I think these buttons will look better if they are center. So we're gonna go ahead here and click on this tag that is housing the text and the buttons. And what we're going to do is look at the settings right here. And yeah, it is distributed to the center, but because it's on a vertical direction, we have to change the alignment here to the center. And if we do that, you will see the buttons were pushed to the center, and now it looks much better. All right, perfect. Now I want to add one more section to this, and that will be a frequently asked questions. We're gonna go ahead and select the main container, come to insert, sections, scroll down, and there it is, frequently asked questions. Now again, we got work to do here. So I like this dark color here at the bottom, so what we're gonna do is select this section, and we're going to go ahead and change that color by coming here, clicking this icon, and selecting the darker section here. And there you go. Now select this text, and we're gonna change that to a lighter version, something like perhaps white. Let's do white. Yeah. And now because I want to make a nice contrast here, I also want to change the color of this background. Before moving on, remember, name your sections and also make sure that it's inside of the main container. So if we close this, I can see that it's not inside of the main container, it's actually inside of the desktop. So let's bring this inside of the main container, and there you go. Perfect. All right, now let's give some color to this component. Now let me show you a really cool trick. I want this color from the Lamborghini, but how do you get it? Well, you just create a frame, pressing F, and then just creating the frame, come to the colors, click here, and select the icon again to select a different color, and there you go. You can select, let's go with something on the darker orange, not too dark, but perhaps like that. Yeah, something like that. And now with the frame selected, you can come here, click on the color, and you will see the code down here. You can copy that. Now let's go inside the component. Once you double click this component, you can unlink and replace all. Now inside of the component, click the actual component, scroll down, and under fill, we're gonna paste the code down here, and there you go. That's a nice orange. Now the reason why I chose orange is because I know blue and orange are opposites, and they contrast well. Now you can test it out, see if you like it. It looks good. It's a little intense, but yeah, I want this to stand out. So the text, it has to be changed as well. So it has to be a lighter color, perhaps something closer to the white as well. So let's come inside of the component again. We're gonna select the first row, right? And then we're gonna double click on it and do the same thing, unlink and replace all. Now inside here, you can see the text. I'm gonna change this to a live version so you can see the text better. Now we're gonna select this text, and we're gonna again change the color to something that is very close to white, almost white, like really almost white right there. Again, let me change this to a dark theme so you can see the text, and do the same thing here. So this is the closed variant, and this is the open variant. So when you hit the plus, it's gonna open up, and you're gonna see the question and the answer down here. So we're gonna select that answer, and we are going to bring it up as well as in a lighter color, something like that. All right, now there's one more thing we gotta change, and that is the plus icon. You cannot see it, so let's bring this again to a lighter theme. There's the plus right there. All right, when I select that plus, and as you can see here on the layers panel, we have a plus, which is a frame that's housing another frame and another frame. These are children of this frame. All right, so whatever we do to this frame is going to affect these two. So if we look at each one of these frames, they have a black color at 100% opacity. However, they don't look 100% opacity. So what happened here? Well, it's because this frame up here has a different opacity at 0.3. So let's change that to 0.7. There you go. And what we're going to do is we're going to select these two frames, and instead of black, let's go to white. There you go. And now we're going to do the same thing. Actually, the other variant took the same setup. So let's go back to a dark theme, and as you can see, we have a white plus, and this one, yeah, we gotta change this. So let's click here and let's go again. Parent frame is a 0.3% opacity, so we're going to change that to 0.7, and now we have a nice combo of both. So let's go outside again and see how it looks. Nice. There's one more thing to change, and that is there's two lines here. You might barely be able to see it, but there are two lines right there. So let's go inside again, and here you're gonna notice a frame that says line. Click on it, hit Control or Command on your keyboard, click the other one, and now let's see what we got. What color is this? This is a dark, this is actually a black color with a 5% opacity. Let's change that to white, and let's bring this up to 25%. Let's see how it looks, and there you go. So if we go outside, very nice. Let's test the page now and see how it looks. Full screen, we're gonna go all the way down. Very nice. So if we click on the plus now, you get your answer, and you can always play around with this and change the colors to your liking, guys. But these are components that are pre-made in Framer, and I encourage you to use them. Take advantage of them. They look very nice, and as you learn Framer, you can also customize this and make it your own. So as you can see, very simple setup, guys, and I was able to create something that looks very nice. Now if you can see down here, there's also a little bit of a difference in the colors here, and you can adjust that little by little until you find something that looks good. Now this on its own looks really good already, you know. Now let's delete this frame. We don't need that. And there's a couple more things that I want to do, and that would be to add the footer down here, and we're gonna also add a navigation bar on top, but that's gonna be on the next section.